Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to another video on my channel. In this one, I'll be going over everything that you need to know to start your journey with Next.Js framework. So let's get started. The first thing is of course generating the project, and to do that all you do is go to the Next.js website and just copy this command and paste it into your terminal. I will quickly change the directory to desktop and just paste it in. It will of course ask you some questions about the solutions that you want to use while generating the app. So first of all, we need a name for our application, so I will go with intro to Next.js. Then it asks us if we want to use TypeScript. We will say no for starters, and ESLint yes of course. No Tailwind, we will be using the basic CSS for this one. I just wanted to make it beginner friendly as much as I can. We don't need the src directory, and we don't want to, we want to use the app router, and we don't want to change the import alias. After the installation process is finished, we can open the project in an IDE of our choice. I will go with VS Code, so I will write code and then the name of our folder with the project. Just a quick reminder, or like an advice, it's best that you code along with me so that it allows you to better understand which part of code does what, and makes this a lot more fun. So yeah, let's quickly go over the project structure. So as you can see, we have a package.json. That's the important thing, where we have a list of our libraries that we use. So ESLint, as you can see, React, React DOM, and of course Next.js. Let's focus on the app folder where the whole page will live. Of course, we have the fav icon. You can actually just move it anywhere you want. You can also leave it in public. The global CSS, where we have our styles. So for now we will just remove everything. Okay. We'll write our own CSS later on. Next is the layout.js. This page specifies the font that we will use in our application. Of course, we need to import our CSS file here. Basic metadata for our page, so the title, so let's change this to introduction to Next.js. Okay, description, we can leave it as it is. Okay, so now for the most important thing, which is the root layout component. It returns a HTML block with body in it, and also a class name of inter.classname. This value allows us to use the inter font in the whole application, so that's that. And here is the children component, children prop, which we will go over later, and I will explain what it does and what it's for. Okay, next page.js. Here is the main component and the main page. So let's just make it a main tag, and we'll for starters say hello world. Oh, I can't spell. Okay, remove those, and next is the page module.tss, which that module thing extension is so that it's only available for that certain page. So if we name this something else, like, I don't know, layout.module.css, it will only go for the layout page. So we already generated the project and went over the project structure. So now let's create our first component. So we will say h1 introduction to Next.js with a p tag, and we'll run the project by typing npm run dev, and it will open a port, and let's go there. Okay, so here it is. This is our h1 and this is our p tag, and that's it for now. So where do we actually create components, and what are they? So components are like the building blocks of websites. They basically allow you to reuse a certain part of a website so that you don't repeat yourself and repeat the codes everywhere. So let's create in our home directory of the project, let's create a folder named components, and inside it let's create a counter.js. So I highly advise to install an extension called ES7 React Redux React Native Snippets. And what it does, it just basically allows you to quickly generate a boilerplate component by typing just rfce, and you can rename the component as you can see. We don't need the import here, and let's now go over what the component will do. So we'll write some comments here. We will have a button with a text of click. We will have a text with a number of clicks, and I think that's all for the counter component. So we will have a div inside here, and inside it we'll have a, for example, h2, and we'll give this one a class name of counter container so that we can style it later. Here an h2 with the count. So now, for now, we will just write 0 and a button of click here. And now, if we go to our browser, the component isn't displayed here. Why? Because we didn't import it in our home page. So let's quickly do that. We'll write import counter from @/components/counter. And as you can see, the path is here, so the root folder, and then components and counter. Okay, so now we can use this counter here, and we will render it here. And as you can see, we have a button and a number. So if we click this button, nothing really happens because we didn't actually implement the logic for this button. Okay, and that brings us to our next point, which is state management. And what actually is state management? So state management is a way to manage, manage the variables and the different types of data in our application. So React gives us a pretty easy way to use state, and it just exports a use state here from the React library, and we can import it anywhere we want. And what it does, it allows us to create states. So basically like type of React variables. So here we are creating a count variable and also a set count variable that is binded to the count variable. And we make it equal to a use state, and the default value of that count will be 0. So now, if we want to increment the count on each button click, we will need to call an onClick function, and we will increment the count like this. So we call the set count function, which is defined here and bound to the count variable, and we set it to the actual number from the count, and we add 1 to it, so it increments by 1. And now, after that, we need to display this count variable here, and it shows like that. So now, if we click this button here, the the h2 will re-render each time we click this button, so that it's reactive. And of course, we need to write a use client flag. So this is actually important when using the hooks from React, that you need to specify that the component uses the client rendering. And now, as you can see, if we click this, of course the default value is 0, and if I change it, now it's 1, and if I click, it increments by 1. And after we reload the page, the state resets. Okay, and that brings us to our next point, which is passing props. So let's say that we don't like this text here and we want to use the counter component in two places in our application, but for two different purposes. So maybe somewhere we want to write like a current count title, and somewhere else we want to just make it, I don't know, places to go. So to make it customizable, we can pass params and props into the component. So how do you define the props? So you just add a curly braces here, and you specify the name of the variable that you want to get from here, so where you call the component. So let's say that we want to get the title, let's call it title, and we will display it right here. And of course we need the curly braces for that. And now, as you can see, it won't display anything because we don't pass the title prop to our component. So let's do that. We'll write title and we will say this is the current count. Okay, and as you can see, it displays right here, and we can of course make a few of those. Let's make two for now. This is a second counter component. Okay, and as you can see, they are separate. So if I click this one, it increments only this one, and if I click this one, it increments only this one. And that's the advantage of using components instead of just hard coding the code here in the main home page. So let's say that you want to create a subpage called, for example, /me. How do you actually do that? So here in our app folder, we need to create a new folder and call it the name of the route that we want to create. So in our case, it will be me. And inside that folder, we need to create a page.js file. Again, we will use the snippet, and we will call it, you can actually call it anything you want because it's exported by default, so it doesn't really matter what's the name of it. And here we will say that, for example, h1 me and p tag with this is a me page. And when we go to the /me page, we get this thing, which we specified right here. Excellent. So let's say that now we want a way to navigate between the home page and the me page. So to do that, you need to import a link component from the next/link library, specify the href, so it's the address where you want to go. Then you just put in a text that should be displayed on the screen. So go to me page. Okay, let's do it like that, and we just close the tag. And now, if we click go to me page, we get redirected to the /me page, but now we don't have a way to go back. So let's add the same thing here. We'll make a link component, href of /, so the home page, and a text of go to home. And yeah, as you can see, it displays here, and you can navigate between the pages simultaneously. Okay, so let's quickly go again over the project structure. So here in our app folder, this is where all the pages live, and also CSS files. Here we have our components folder where you can create multiple components and then import them in your pages. So in our counter.js, we specify the flag of use client, so it uses client rendering on the website. Then we import a use state from React. We define the component like this, and we define the props of title, and you can actually leave as many as you want. So for example, initial value, and we can specify the initial value here. So when we go to the page here and we specify the initial value to be, for example, 10. As you can see, the initial value is 10. And this setting of the props is so that you don't actually make it like undefined, like right here, because the title might be undefined, so it doesn't show right here when we don't include that in our props. As you can see, when I delete this, it doesn't show. So it's just a better way of defining the props and just setting the default values for those if it isn't specified where you call the component. So yeah. Then we create the count variable and the set count function, which is bound to this one. And we set it to the use state with the initial value right here. And we return the HTML, so actually JSX, so it's HTML mixed up with JS. And yeah, we give this one a class name of counter container, and you can then reference it right here. So let's say display flex. Yeah, this can be like this. And as you can see, it gives us some basic styling. You can just do whatever you want right here, basically. And yeah, we display the h2 with the title prop and the span with the current count, which is reactive. Then we display the button with a onClick function, which basically increments the count by 1 each time we click this button. Next, for the home page, we have a main section with an h1, AP tag, and we are creating the counter component here with the title and initial value props passed to it. So next link with an href of /me and a text of go to me page. And of course, the me page, which is right here in the folder of me, and the page.js file. We basically just import the link and React. We don't actually need React right here. Import link from next link. We define the page, and we return a JSX of div, an h1, p tag, and of course the link to the home page right here. So I think that's all for this video. Before you go, I've created a list of simple projects so that you can create after watching this video. So the first one is the counter application. You can just add some styling to it in the globals.css and make it look prettier and unique. The next one is to-do application. I already did a tutorial on this, so if you get stuck creating the app, I highly advise you to watch the video that I recorded about creating a to-do app in Next.js. Next thing is a basic portfolio website. This doesn't actually include a lot of state management like in the counter file. You can just basically divide the page into components so that it isn't all messy in the home page. Next thing is a weather app. I'll be doing a tutorial on this, so be sure to leave a like and subscribe to get notified when it comes out. Next thing is a stopwatch app. I think that's self-explanatory, just a time that increments every second, and you can stop it and restart it. And yeah, the last one is of course tic-tac-toe game. So yeah. So if you liked that video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for future content like this, and of course leave a comment with some suggestions of the videos that I should record later on. So I think that's all, and see you in the next one. Bye.